Trev Dog, what's up, big guy?
Come on, man, dude. Seeing you pumps
Uh,
me up. Seeing you pumps me up. And I would have given you our lit intro music, but my wife, I'm
this is
on her
good.
Spotify account, and she's playing the kids' music right there. So it would have been like some kind of kid music that I would have had to intro you, which not have been fitting. Would not have been a very fitting introductory walkout music for Tony Stephan, my man.
Dude, I love the kids, man. I love the kids' music as a soon to be hopefully parent one day. I loved it, man. Always good to
Yeah.
see you, man. Like I'm usually in bed by 8:30, but I'm like, if Trevor calls, I'm gonna wake up. And I was like feeling a little groggy, and you started talking. I'm like, man, I just like this guy. You can't not like Trevor. He's just a likable guy, man. So I appreciate you. Always appreciate what you built here. I said it before when I was on maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. Very
Hmm.
impressive what you guys have built. You guys are obviously very selfless people that you just do this education and do all this. So thank you to you, and thank you to what you built, and just excited to be here and share whatever I can to help everyone out.
Yeah, Tony. Well, let's go ahead and launch into your story. I think really a good place to start is, our audience. I think it's helpful for them to understand, man, like where you came from. Like what was your context and your growing up and your background. And I think that'll really set the stage into where we want to go tonight.
Yeah, man, of course. Happy to share, like I said, anything about me that I can help you guys with. So I'm from Detroit, Michigan, just outside of Detroit. Grew up like 2 miles north of Detroit, Michigan. So my whole beginning was in the health and fitness industry. Since age 18, I became a personal trainer, went to college, age 23, became a registered dietitian. That was my thing. How I got into all that growing up, like if you would have told 14-year-old Tony, 18-year-old Tony, you're going to be a real estate investor, I wouldn't have believed it. My mother struggled with drugs. She was a drug addict. She lost her life as part of an OD. So she,
Mm.
struggled with that. My father struggled financially. We filed bankruptcy. So we almost lost our home. Never really had money. And fitness, my dad taught me fitness to like deal with the trauma of losing my mother, all the like so much financial insecurity. We were on food stamps, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the whole thing with that.
Wow.
Fitness saved me. It became a positive outlet for me. So I was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to help others. I'm going to become a personal trainer, use exercise to help people. Went through college, got my registered dietitian credential, which is 5 year degree.
Tony, I want to stop you real quick because when you describe your context of growing up, right? I mean, you lost your mom, the financial situation was very difficult. I mean, you say Detroit, Michigan, and already, most of us understand to some degree that it's not the most conducive environment, right? And so before we get into, registered dietitian, your business, real estate, I'm curious if there was a point in your life where you came to a crossroads and there was a decision that you made that actually caused you to get pointed in the trajectory that helped you land to where you are now. And what was that crossroads and what was that decision? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And the message I want to share with everyone here is the depth of your struggle determines the height of your success. I didn't understand it at the time. What I was going through was the best blessing in the world. It was the blessing of
Wow.
adversity. Every adversity brings with it the equal seed and opportunity for growth, right? And
That's good.
stress management is the ceiling to our potential. So for everyone here that wants to do a 100-unit deal, 10-unit deal, what's your stress management level? Because every deal we've done, from the first single family home to right now, we are about a week away from closing on a 100-unit deal. The stress has been there. There's always a different stress, right? New levels, new devils.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a defining, that was a great question, Trevor. There wasn't a defining moment. I just remember going without, and there was something inside of me that said, I don't want this in the future. And
Hmm.
my dad did teach me, he said, you can have anything you want in this world. You just got to go out and get it. So I just had that mindset of like, okay, we don't have it, but we can go get it. And then, it started from there. But I just want everyone to know that, like, if you're going through something, if you're going through some adversial struggles, the depth of your struggle determines the height of your success. And it's what you're willing to withstand and what you're willing to go through and what you're willing to persevere through that determines where you're going to get to. So if you are struggling, if you are, because I know some, maybe a majority of you guys are like, hey, I'm doing a 9 to 5 thing. I'm trying to build this side
Yep.
thing. Good for
Right.
you. Good for you, because that's going to give you that fortitude to be able to withstand and sustain the success.
Okay. Outstanding. I'm glad we pulled that nugget out of you, man. That was a nice piece of gold right there. Okay. Keep your story going, man. You mentioned fitness and wanting to help people. So where do we go from there?
Yeah. So I did the whole fitness thing, right? I've only worked in commission, which again was another blessing, right? Because I learned to sell, I learned to talk to people like Trevor. Trevor could sell a pair of gloves to a person with no hands because he's just very likable. He's like
Thank you.
Trevor. You're like, I just
Thank
want to
you.
hang out with this guy. I just want to vibe with this guy. He's got a good vibe and energy. So I learned all that. Registered dietitian. I went and worked at Lifetime Fitness as a registered dietitian. 100% commission job, 100% sales. So I'm learning sales. I'm learning all this. I'm learning like personal coaching, working with other humans.
Mm-hmm.
I broke some records there. I was like top person in the sales in the company. But then I hit a glass ceiling, right? Maybe this will resonate with some of you. Maybe that's why you're here looking at real estate. I had a decision. Life was good. Life was finally good, guys. Like growing up, no money, food stamps, all that. I'm doing good now. I'm making like 90K a year. I'm Italian, so I got a Cadillac, right? Like Jersey Shore. I got the Caddy, right? I got a couple of nice little things. I'm like, all right, I want to get married soon. I'm gonna buy, my future wife here a nice ring. All was good. But I
Mm-hmm.
felt that desire for future, right? I felt that desire for more, right? I felt like I was doing good, but it wasn't great. So there comes time in your life when you're like, all right, I've got good. Am I willing to give up good for great, right? And choose fear or choose faith over fear.
Wow.
So that's what I
Wow.
did. Quit that job, started an online telehealth companies, like on doing online registered dietitian services for people. Instead of in my little city at that gym, just started doing it in the entire country. Emptied my bank account, charged up a credit card to get it started, hired a mentor, went all in, right? Went
Mm-hmm.
all in,
Mm-hmm.
chose faith over fear. First year was a struggle. Good lesson for all you guys too. Your first year in anything is never good. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, and they significantly underestimate what they can accomplish in 5. Okay.
Good.
First year business was a struggle. First year in real estate was a struggle, right? First year when we started our own property management company was a struggle, but figured it out, was able to take off. That business took off, did, a lot of revenue. It's very high profit because it was online.
Mm-hmm.
The only
Yep.
expense was the computer, right? And the
Yep.
internet. I was already paying for that. So that produced a lot of income. But then what did I say earlier? New levels, new devils,
That's
right?
right. That's right.
Back to if you would have told 14-year-old Tony, hey, dude, you're going to make a bunch of money from your computer. I was working in Hawaii. We were in Paris. We were doing like that travel life. But I didn't have money working for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I owned more of a job than a business. It was a high income producing job, but it was tied to my production. And then COVID happened, right? We all remember COVID,
Yeah,
right?
we do.
I'm in Newport Beach, California. All of a sudden, the beach gets shut down. There's like barricades everywhere. The whole world shut down. The online business was thriving at that time because people were home. So, those products were exploding. But this is when I had an epiphany, kind of like Trevor mentioned. I said, whoa, entire industries are being wiped out. Entire businesses are being wiped out. I didn't get wiped out today, but always remember this too. The only constant in any business is change.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's when I had this like aha moment of what happens when our industry's up? What happens when because the COVID destroyed restaurants, it destroyed like in-person businesses, service-based businesses. What happens when whatever version of COVID wipes out the online businesses?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, God forbid if I got sick or if I got hurt or if I got injured and I could not earn money, our lifestyle's over. Like, what is my
Yeah.
wife going to do? Right. That's when I learned it was a Grant Cardone book. And I'll never forget it. It was a rainy day. I've read the Grant Cardone book, and he said wealthy people learn how to earn money, but then take their earned income and turn it into passive income producing real estate. So I told my wife, I'm like, we're going to do this real estate thing.
Let's go.
Yeah. And then we came back to Michigan. That year was 2021. We bought one rental home. One,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
all I
that's where
could,
a lot of people start, right?
it's all I could. So yeah, we own what you said we own today, but don't be afraid of starting small. And even I do the content too, where it's like bigger apartment buildings are safer. Yeah, they are, but you got to get in where you fit in. And
Mm-hmm.
imperfect action always beats standing still. And action cures anxiety. So that action
Man.
at that time back then was buying a house. We bought it, just made sense. We owned a home, buy a home, put a renter in it, great. Then we bought another house. Then we did the duplex, then the fourplex, then the a couple more duplexes. The game changed though, guys. I think why we're all here is multifamily. The game changed when we got into multifamily. We bought a 7-unit apartment. It was a beautiful little apartment. Because I was like, all right, I'm seeing this is growing. And we had a third-party manager. And Trevor, feel free to cut me off at any time too.
Mm-hmm.
But this 7-unit apartment came about. It was in 2021. I knew the area. Another piece of advice: invest in your hometown if you can, if it's viable for you, because you get the home field advantage. I knew it was an A+ area. I knew it was an A+ property. It came on the market for 550,000. This is back when debt was 3.5%, right? So
Yep.
everyone, brothers bidding on this. I won it for 660,000. So I overpaid. I overpaid. And everyone
Okay.
thought I was an idiot. They're all like, you're an idiot. You way overpaid. Oh my God. Even my wife's like, are you sure? I'm like,
Yeah.
I think so. I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I want to pause right there, Tony. And this hotel light just went out. I don't know if the bulb went out. I'm not in my typical setup, but we're just rolling with it, man.
Mhm.
For those of us that have started in single family, right? You had your single, your duplex, et cetera, and then you said, okay, see, there we go. It has a mind of its own, apparently. Then you focused on the 7-unit deal. Now, did you already have your portfolio of single family, or did you sell that portfolio off and roll the proceeds into this deal, or what was the process there?
Great question. So I kept that earned income rolling. And even we
Okay.
met someone today. He's a local guy, he's a real estate agent. He's like, I think I want to stop selling real estate and just buy apartments. I'm like, dude, always keep that money rolling in. Always keep
Mm-hmm.
that money. Never cut off a stream of income to go build a second stream. Because then you're back to one stream. What's the worst
Yeah.
business? One. One customer, one way to make money, one way to get leads, one source of income, whatever. Right. So no, we had kept all those properties at that time.
Okay. Okay. So you had a portfolio that you'd already built up when you were targeting the 7-unit deal. You had your business that you were running. And I think that specific scenario, that context, actually, many of us on this call can probably relate to. Maybe we have some single family homes in our portfolio. We're focusing on multifamily. We probably have a W-2 job. Maybe we're not running our own business, but regardless, if you're running your business, it's almost kind of like you have a W-2 job, right? You're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. That's just the way that it is. So, for you in that context, what were some strategies that you implemented to then shift your focus in the midst of all of that to actually be successful in your first multifamily deal?
Yeah, yeah, great question. I didn't compromise on location. That was the one thing. I bought in the best location we could. While it was only 7 units, it was an A+ location. And you probably heard this advice before. Make sure your first deal is a good deal, or else you're never going to do it again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Trev, you're from Texas, right?
Yes, I am.
All right, so I'm from Detroit. I have no business on a horse, sir. I have zero business cowboying and any of that. I was dating a lady back in the day, way back in the day, because I've been with my wife for 10 years now. I'm 33. No, God, 13 years. I met her when I was 20. See, 30.
Wow, bro.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But I was in Texas, and Trevor, this horse like knew, dude. It's like this guy's not from around here. Because she's like, we go riding horses, we go do all this. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm in
Yeah,
like jeans and like ripped jeans, and like this horse is like, I know this is not a cowboy here.
that's
I get
right.
on the horse bucks me off like immediately. I fall in like a cactus patch. Cactus is all in my behind. True story. I never rode a horse again
Yep.
because that first experience sucked. And all
Mm-hmm.
this to tell you, if your first multifamily or even your first real estate experience is bad because you compromised on location, you weren't educated, you rushed it, whatever, you probably won't do it again. So I didn't compromise on location, bought the deal, 660,000. NOI was at 30,000. We knew the rents were low. We worked the deal.
Okay.
It was only 7 units, so it wasn't too overwhelming going from a fourplex to a 7 unit, right?
Yep.
Commercial loans, so some of those differences. Year one, we took the NOI from 30,000 to 60,000. And you guys all know how multifamily is valued because this is what really sparked my brain because I'm a business guy. I'm a business guy. So profit makes sense to me, right? We're not flippers, so single family was just they were just trucking along.
Mm-hmm.
Got the property reappraised. And if you don't know, multifamily is valued by the NOI, not net operating income, which is all of your income minus your expenses. It's profit. It's just a fancy word for profit.
Yeah.
Divided by the cap rate, that's your valuation. So you can do this with me if you have your calculator. We took the NOI to 60,000, paid 660 for it, divided by a 6% cap rate. That's what it appraised for. That property 1 year later appraised for $1 million. I was able to do a
Yes.
0.75% loan to value refinance, 750,000. We owed 500 grand on the deal. We only put down like 130,000. So we walked away with $250,000 tax free because it's debt and debt's not taxed. So in 1 year, my $132,000 came back to me as 250,000, still owned the deal, still cash flows. I own it to this day. What's your return on investment if you have no money in a deal?
Infinite.
Infinite. Guys, once I saw that and once that happened, like I read that could happen, but then when that happened, it's like I saw the Matrix. You guys seen the Matrix? And it's like red pill or blue pill. It's like I took that red pill and you're just like, whoa. And that deal is so important. That deal is more important than the 56 unit we own, than the 100 unit we're closing on, because that's achievable for anybody here.
That's right. That's right.
$132,000. Now, my wife and I put that down ourselves, but you can get 4 people together and go do 132 grand down, right? And
Mm-hmm.
get a deal like that, work it yourselves, manage it, boost the NOI, year later, pull out 250, and then go do it again and again. Like that's life changing for most
Mm-hmm.
people. You know what I
That's
mean?
right. Yeah. Tony, for that 7 unit deal, was it something where you guys were very clear on what your buyback box was, and then this property checked all your buy box? Was it kind of that scenario, or was it more like you kind of stumbled upon it and it just felt right for you guys?
Yeah, we walked it. I'm a big believer. Whoever says real estate, like multifamily, isn't like emotional, like a primary, dude, you got to get a feeling. It's tangible. The whole reason we like multifamily, all of us, over stocks or crypto or whatever, you can go see it, you can go feel it, you can go smell it. Dude, I get a feeling. Every property,
Mm-hmm.
I get a feeling. And I know, is it going to work or is it not? Do I like it or not? Like, would I live there? Would I tell somebody I'd like to live there? And I had that feeling, Trev, and we knew the area. We knew the area really well because my first home was by that area. And we knew it was not a risk because we knew the data. We knew the rents were $700 at that time. The rents today are $1,250.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
scientific, you know what I mean? Like you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this just it is what it is, And you're like, well, why are the rents that long? Because they were owned by 3 partners for like 20 years, you know?
Okay.
Not guys, don't be afraid when you see low rent. Get excited because it's probably owned by someone who just they're making their money. They don't need to push it or they don't know what market rent is. Those are the deals you're looking for. So yeah,
That's good.
we knew, man. We knew.
That's really good, man. Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm curious. How were you guys able to push rents like that? What did y'all implement? What kind of strategies did y'all have that first year where it would, you could double the NOI?
So we were on a 3.9% interest rate. So
Okay.
we had a good amount of cash flow.
Okay.
We took that cash flow, we just pumped it back into it, right? There was like a barn. I've talked about this on social media. There's a barn on the property, just empty. And it's like all chipped, looked nasty. So we had it nice and painted, looked good. We rented the barn out for $250 a month. Well, 250, that's not much. Well, 250 multiplied by 12 is 3,000. Divided by a
Mm-hmm.
0.06% cap rate, that's 50,000 in valuation.
Mm-hmm.
Now that 250 doesn't look that bad, right?
That's
We
right.
did plank flooring, vinyl plank flooring. When I say we like use contractors because I can't screw in a light bulb, so I'm not doing all that. We did light upgrades, fixtures, fresh paint, just minimal stuff, because the area was so good and it
Wow.
was it was a good find that the managers weren't running efficiently. No fees. That's a big thing. You buy from these mom and pop landlords, people pay whenever they want, they pay late, they pay checks. We charge fees for all that. Robert Martinez calls it a stupid tax. I'm not that like rude, but if you're
Uh-huh.
like at our 56 unit, people will pay in cash. We charge a fee for that because we have to collect the cash, count the cash, deposit the cash. You pay in a
Hmm.
check, you have to deposit that. Those are all fees, but those fees go right to the NOI line because those are just profit boosters. You got a pet. Cool. It's $50 a month for a dog, 35 a month for a cat, $150 non-refundable cleaning fee. Those are NOI boosters. It's a business.
Yep. That's
Run it
right.
like a business, like Verizon Wireless. You want to pay with a credit card? It's a fee. Why would you not run your apartment any differently?
Hmm.
Right? So those things just because I just had that background from business, like it just made sense. Like I use Stripe for all of my payments. We've serviced customers in 20 different countries. They charge me a fee every time I use them. I'm not going to bulk about on that. That's the cost of doing business,
That's
right?
right.
You
Yep.
send a wire, your bank charges you a fee, right? You
Hmm.
use a debit card somewhere that's not your bank, you get a fee. Why are you collecting rent on the 5th of the month when it's due on the 1st and not charging a fee? And oh, Mrs. Jones hand you a wad of cash. So you got to count, wrap up, take to the bank. That's a fee.
Yeah. That's right. These are good property, like asset management, property management nuggets here, guys. So I hope you're taking notes. Tony, I want to get your perspective on this. I ask each one of our celebrity guests this question, and you're, I would say, a little bit unique compared to, I would say, the general celebrity guest profile that we bring on because you've done all this by yourself, right? No investors. You started small and gradually have built up your portfolio. For somebody wanting to break into the multifamily space, what would be your advice to them? What are like the kind of top three pieces of advice you would share?
Yeah, man, great question. And I definitely couldn't have done this without my wife. She's the one who headed everything up. She was a school teacher and became, she helped me, she quit her job as a school teacher, helped me in my first business. Then she became a real estate agent and started doing all this. And then she launched her own brokerage. And then when we started with a third party property manager. We fired them. She built her own management company. Today she's got a team of 7 she runs. So
Wow.
I'm not alone, man. I'm not alone. And I'm fine to say without her, like none of this exists and happens. So that's a good question. Listen, if you guys want to raise capital, I think it's a great idea. I honestly, there's disadvantages to what I've done. Okay. Sure, I own 100% of it. Sure, I answer only to my wife, but if you're like Trevor's in a group with 4 or 5 guys, the bank's probably never asked Trevor, if you die, what happens? Because there's 4 other people to go run that deal. But guess what? The bank asks me that all the time. If you and your wife die in a car accident, what happens to all this real estate? Who runs it? What's the
Oh,
succession plan? The bank has told me I am riskier because if I default and I file bankruptcy, there is not a partner or 2 or 3 for them to then move to. So there's pros and cons, y'all. I have to keep more liquidity. I've got deposits in 4 different credit unions and banks. So there's pros and cons to it, right? There's pros and cons to it. If you want to raise capital, I would look at it like this. The best offense in sales is a good defense. What would your objections be if someone came to you and wanted to raise money? Can you overcome those objections? My first objection would be,
hmm.
what relevant experience have you done here? Or what do you bring to this table? Because they're bringing a very valuable thing, money. What are you bringing? If you're like, dude, I've done duplexes, I've done single family homes, I got a quadplex, look at my track record here, bam. It's very important to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. There were a
Hmm.
lot of syndicators who came out in 2021 when debt was super cheap and
Yeah.
valuations were just coming up. Now you got to earn that NOI. right? Because debt's 7%, 7.5%, 8%. And we just closed 3 100% cash out refinances last Friday. So we've done 4 100% cash out refinances since 2021. That's sweat equity in a deal. That's a track record. So don't knock starting small. Like
Yep.
there's no way I'm buying this 100 unit from $1 billion institutional company. There's no way I would have the confidence to sit in that negotiation and sit in that like what and like I had to go meet them because they're like, who is this Tony Stephan?
Yeah.
They're true. They're like, he's like, I want to meet him. The broker's like, I've been doing this for 35 years. I've had 2 face-to-face meetings. They never go good. So he's like, you got to fucking nail this. And I nailed it because I'm like, I've got the experience, dude. I'm like, I
That's
own
right.
the
You
Dietitian
do.
right down the street. So you know what I mean? Like everyone
Hmm.
wants to go big. I just challenge you guys to think quality, not quantity. Get started where you can. Enjoy it, like just love the journey, right? Love the work, love the process of it. Love, if you got a duplex, dude, love that duplex. Run that duplex better than anybody. Learn because it's the same process as the duplex as the 56. I swear to
Good.
God, it's
Good.
the same. So just learn it, then scale, then grow, but grow at your own pace because sustainable growth is what it's all about.
Outstanding. I want to continue moving through your accumulation of your portfolio. So you had the 7 unit deal, did the cash out refinance, made 250 G's tax free, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then what'd you do with that 250 G's? Did you roll into your next multifamily deal, or how did your second MF deal materialize for you?
Yeah, so we did. We rolled into the next deal. After
Okay.
that, we bought a 12 and an 8 together.
Okay.
And so we just refinanced the 8. I did sell the 12. I paid 900 for it. We sold it for 1.395. So again, just an NOI play there. Then I kind of stayed smaller multifamily. 12, and maybe this will help with people's journeys. 12, 8. I bought a 16, which was good, and we just refinanced that. We paid 1.4, it just appraised for 2.1. So um but back to good to great, Trev. I felt like we were just majoring in the minors, and then I went to a mastermind, and that's where I met Trevor's handsome self at, and his partners and all that. They're just. If you guys haven't met these guys in person, they're just good vibe people. You get like an energy, right? Your frequency is what you'll frequently see. Trevor's just got like good energy, man. He just attracts that. He just introduced himself to. We were at like that dinner, and he's just a cool guy. So,
Thanks,
but
Tony.
this.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And then in this mastermind, though, all these guys were talking about syndications and larger apartments. And this is why it's very important to get around other people and pay for proximity, pay to play. I can tell you guys so many stories about the power of proximity. But like, so Trevor and them, they hold a mastermind. Oh my God, it's like 5,000 or 2,000 or 10. Just pay and go because it's law of environmental exposure, right? I'm there, and Robert said to me, Robert Martinez ran the mastermind. He's like, Tony, you're doing good. You're doing all this, but I challenge you to go do a big deal that has an on-site manager because it's going to change the way you look at the game. And he
Good.
said, Tony, do you want to own one Subway store where you and your wife are in there every day making the sandwiches? Or do you want to own a fleet of Subway stores and you just manage the managers? I was like, shit, he's right.
Yeah.
You're right. I didn't want to do what I did early on. If you remember, sorry, I said I built a job for myself. I didn't want to do
Hmm.
that again. So then we went out, we said, it's the power of a deadline. Always remember dreams without or goals without deadlines are just dreams, right? We set a deadline. We said before the end of the year, we need to close a deal big enough that has an on-site manager. We bought a 56 unit off market that last sold in 1993. So it tells you how good of a deal it was. It never traded for it was 4.85 million, had an on-site manager. And that's been the best deal to date because then you have the law of scale, right? Our biggest deal at that time was 16 units. Again, wouldn't have had the confidence to close on a 56 without the 16.
Yeah.
But when you have an on-site, I was there today. So if you guys follow me or connect with me on Instagram, go see. We've got an office there. We've got a model unit. It's so much easier to fill vacancies when you have a model unit to show people, right? Show them.
Yeah.
We got an on-site manager there, so he lives there. He takes care of everything, takes care of the grounds. Oh my God. Again, I saw that matrix. I'm like, whoa, scale,
Hmm.
power in units. And 2 people move out of a 56 unit, you don't even notice it. two people move out of a 7 unit, you're like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
barely making payment right now,
Yeah,
right?
totally. Totally. Tony, we got a handful of questions. I want to keep unpacking the line that you're going down here, but I want to address a couple of questions that I saw come up in the chat. First, Kim Mattis said, how many years did you hold the 12 unit before selling?
I bought the 12 unit in 2020. I want to say 2022, early 2022, and I sold it end of 2023. So it was a quick exchange. Only reason I sold it was once we took back the management, it was like 45 minutes away from all of our other properties. It just didn't make sense as a management play.
Okay, very good. And then Mahir said, how are you finding off-market deals? And maybe let me sprinkle a question on top of that. Is just give us your tips and tricks as far as engaging if you are deal sourcing from brokers as well, and brokers in your backyard. Yeah, what are some tips and tricks to building rapport, those relationships, so that you eventually get awarded the deal?
Yeah. I get this question all the time because every deal I've done, guys, has been off market besides that first 7 unit. Every deal has been off market. The 100 units off market. The 56 was off market. 16, 8, 12s were all off market. I've done YouTube videos on it. And guys, if you enjoy this conversation, definitely check out my YouTube. If you're like, how did he do this? Is this guy what do the kids say, Trev? Capping? Is this guy capping, Trev? I do full breakdowns. We go to our properties. We bring you inside the properties, show you everything. So just check out the YouTube channel.
And Caleb's dropping your links, Tony, in the chat, so you guys can check out the Tony's YouTube channel is right there if
Yeah.
you scroll up a little bit, and there
We
it is
walk
again.
you through every one of these properties. We bring you to the 56. I show it to you. But listen, there's something that was taught to me early on: food, sex, and money. Right? How you form a relationship in anything. It's food, sex, and money, right? You break bread with people. That's what I said. How did Trevor and I meet and connect? We were eating chips and tacos and we're just talking about real estate. I'm
We
like,
were. That's
it's a true
right.
story. I'm like, this guy's
Yeah.
cool. I like this guy. So see food, right? But how did we get there? We spent money. We spent money to go to a mastermind. And the
Yeah.
reason I liked that mastermind, it was not cheap. So I said, everyone else here paid, I think it was like 8 grand for a spot or 9 grand. So I'm like, they're at a level. They're at a higher level because the more you pay, the more you play, right? And the higher you pay attention, right?
That's
So
right.
build a relationship with money, right? And then the third one, you guys can figure that one out, right? My morals don't go there. So with the brokers, it was about just building relationships. I would hit them up on LinkedIn, right? The top multifamily brokers in the state. I was able to connect with a gentleman who owns a big brokerage here. He's one of the top brokers. He's like, come to my office, let's meet. And I pitched him. If we always remember, people don't know you, they can't flow you. If you
Yeah.
don't promote it, you demote it, right? So if you guys not using social media, that is your business card today. Like we just hired a new real estate agent and she's like, well, do you guys give business cards? I'm like, your social media is your business card. That is your marketing to the world, right? So connected with him. I went there and pitched him on my track record. It was all single family back then. And I think the 1 7 unit. And I told him, hey, we're looking for a bigger deal, whatever. Send me deals. When brokers send you deals, reply right away.
That's
Thank
good.
you, but this doesn't fit my criteria because of X, Y, and Z. Don't ghost them because that looks like crap. And don't just say doesn't work, doesn't work, doesn't work. Why? Give them feedback. What did you like? What did you not like? Whatever. Then he sent me that 56, and I said, "This." He's like, "It's not available. I've been trying to get this guy to sell for 10 years. If this is it, let's go for it." And then when you get the deal and it meets your criteria and you put it under contract, you better close.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. We now have a track record of these people close. And I say this not to impress you guys, but to impress upon you. When I close this 100 unit deal, my clout goes all the way up
Yeah.
because now we two private people took down that deal. So, but you got to start with the 7. You got to start with the 6. You got to start with the 8, the 12. But that is your reputation. Your track record is everything. If you're flaky, if you bail on deals and dump them for silly stuff, you just get discarded because everyone on their, I don't care where you're at, Alabama, Arkansas, Michigan, California, everyone wants multifamily. So if you get that shot, you gotta close it. You gotta
hmm
close it. We were able to
hmm
close them. Yeah.
That's good, man. That's really good. I want to shift gears a little bit here, Tony, and talk about cash out refinances. And I want to ask a two-pronged part of the question here. The first one is this: how do you know when to actually perform a cash out refi? Like, what kind of metrics are you looking for? And let's start in the single family space. Let's say there's a portfolio of single family. You're looking to do maybe some cash out refinance and roll those proceeds into buying a larger property. Okay. What are some boxes that you feel like need to be checked in order to give the green light for a cash out refinance on a single family portfolio?
So I've never actually done a cash out refinance on a single family. I never built enough equity to do it. I was just buying like base hit deals. I was
Okay.
not buying
Well, let's just
major.
talk about selling. Yeah. When should you decide to sell your single family and then roll it into larger deals?
Great question. All, you know, it's all based on your goals, right? I learned this as a dietitian. People are like, what's the best diet? Well, what's the diet you want to stick to? What's your goals, right? What can you
Yeah.
stick to, right? That we used to say the science is in compliance, right? So it's like whatever you're going to stick to is the one that works
Mm,
best for you. So same thing
good.
with this. For me, I did this exercise. If you own single families, do this exercise. I looked at the cash flow I was making from the deal. I annualized it out and I multiplied it by 10. So let's just say it made $1,000 a year in cash flow, 10 years. If it stayed where it's at, it's 10 grand. Okay, so if I hold for 10 years, I'm making 10,000 in cash flow. If I sell today, am I going to get more than that? And the answer was yes for all of them.
Okay.
So for me, wanting to grow and wanting to compound wealth, that's velocity of money. And that's like where you start to get into like return on equity and all that. For us, it made sense to sell. Not only that, it was all personal debt. So it was all my personal credit report because they were just like, investment mortgages.
Hmm.
So that's what made sense to me. I saw like, if I sold today, I would make more than 10 years worth of cash flow. And in 10 years, furnaces can go, roofs can go. So
That's right.
and I'm like, I got two tenants. Two tenants. I don't care if you're paying 5 grand a month. You're not going to cover a roof on a duplex. So the risk to reward, we said, we'll take the money today, right? We'll take that
Hmm.
money today, roll it into something bigger. So that was
Okay.
our criteria.
Outstanding. And then let's shift to the second prong here with multifamily. What are the metrics that you're looking for when to pull the trigger on a cash out refinance on a multifamily property? And tell us what that process is look like.
It's a detailed process. Yeah. So like I said, we just closed 3 the other day. So we've done
Hmm.
4.
Which
Again,
congratulations by that.
thank you, man. It was super
Congratulations,
stressful.
bro.
It was super stressful because rates are higher right now. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to ask the question. Is like, man, it's interesting that Tony did 3 cash out refinances right now with, I mean, maybe a potential rate decrease, a little one, not too far down the road. Who knows, actually? But yeah, I'm really curious to unpack this with you.
Yeah. So again, people say I was stupid and oh, but you went from a 4% to 7%, blah, 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 blah. That's another thing, guys. Just trust your radiance. Trust your internal guide. Everything you need is already inside of you. You just have to be brave enough to listen. Because Trev, I want to grow. I want to go do another deal. So I want to take that equity. It's like potential versus kinetic energy, right? So potential energy is trapped. It's
Yeah.
there. You can't tap into it. So cool. On my net worth and my personal financial statement, I've got equity in all these deals and my net worth's higher. Cool. Guess what? You can't buy anything with net worth unless it's in the billions. Then you can, right? Lines of credit. But what am I going to do with that? And again, that's where you hear these podcasts like, oh, I'm a multimillionaire, but you got 5 grand in the bank. You're broke. You can't go do anything, right? So I want to tap into that potential energy, release it, create kinetic energy, go put it into another deal. We did 70% loan to value. So we had to do less loan to value because rates were higher. So I didn't take as much proceeds as I could have if rates were lower. Like on that
Hmm.
first deal, I did a 75%. These ones I had to do a 70%. It made sense to me. I had no prepayment penalties. We had enough equity tapped in there. Our NOIs were strong. And to be honest, too, if rates don't go down, some financial institutions aren't even doing cash out refinances. Financial institutions are very conservative right now. They want deposits. They don't always want new business. So the lender, who was the original lender on the loan, was willing to do it. I was a bit afraid if I didn't do it now, Trevor, what if they eliminate it? What if they're like, hey, we're pausing cash out refinances. So now
Yeah.
I've missed my opportunity, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm. So were these three cash out refinances, were they critical to you landing this 100 unit deal? Did
No,
you
I'm
have to have that? Oh, okay. They're running totally separate avenues.
correct. Correct. Correct.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. So okay. So we're about to open it up here, Tony, for some Q&A from the audience. So you guys can start lining up right now. Just raise your hand and you can talk to Tony directly. But I just want to crystallize this last, subtopic of our conversation here about cash out refinances. Okay. What's the kind of the last message you want to give, or maybe the last bits of advice we can put in our pocket to consider when it might be right for us to implement a cash out refinance or a sale of a property?
Know your goals, right? Know your goals. Look at the cash flow today, look at the benefit today. And if you sell, because like we use cost segregation study, my wife's a real estate professional. So we take all that depreciation against our earned income.
Nice. That's
Selling,
great.
I don't have a 1031. Woo, it's a big old recapture event, right? So it's a big old tax bill. So know your goals. That's why too, Trev, like I had offers to sell, but did I have a perfectly line? Like I am pursuing another deal. It's like 42 units, but they're wishy-washy. We're going along. So if they bail and I sold and they got 30 days, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's why the
Yep.
refinance just made sense. So again, just know your goals, look at all the avenues and what makes sense to you. Have that conversation.
Very good. Very good. All right, cool. Let's open it up, y'all. Just raise your hand. You can use the reactions down here in the toolbar there at the bottom of the Zoom, and you can ask your question to Tony directly. And Tony, it's cool. He has experience in the entire spectrum of a multifamily real estate investor, right? Sourcing deals, acquiring, managing them, not only asset management, also property management as well. And maybe I should have probably invited your wife, Tony,
Oh,
so
she would
you
have killed
guys.
it. She would have done way better
Oh,
than me.
for sure, man. You guys would have been a great tag team. We'll have to make sure we bookmark that for next time. We'll have both
Absolutely.
of you guys.
Absolutely, dude. You got it.
All right, let's see. Or is there anything dropping in the chat here? Let me open this up. I think we covered everything.
Yeah,
Okay,
man.
yeah, we talked
Awesome.
about how are you finding off-market deals. Cool. While we're waiting for questions to come in, Tony, I'm curious about you guys. Okay, Nina just dropped something in the chat. Nina, did you want to unmute yourself? All right, let's get you unmuted here. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Hi there, Trevor. How are you?
Hey, Nina, I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
You
And
too.
thank you. This is awesome. I'm so glad that I can be part of this today. Yeah, so I have a quick question. If you bought your properties in the same state or out of state that you live in, and then if out of state, how did you find your boots on the ground, or how was that process for you?
Yeah, great question. So no, all in state, we're in
Okay.
Michigan, but my wife is a real estate broker and she gets a lot of out of state investors. And
Okay.
that's you got to trust your broker or your agent because she's the one to be like, here's the best inspector that we've used in our portfolio. Here's some of our top lenders. Hey, here's the managers we trust. You just start with that agent or the broker. They should be the one to have the network and connect
Okay.
you my real estate attorney that I have today. Because when you get to larger deals, it's very important to have a very sophisticated real estate attorney. He came from my broker. The multifamily inspector for my 56 unit, I showed up with like total home inspection. You know, it's like the van with the home. They're
Yeah.
like, he's like, what the heck is this? He's like, what are these guys? So he's like, no, you want to use like a multifamily specific inspector. They're going to look at different things, not like checking GFIs, you know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of embarrassing in retrospect. He's like, because his co-broker was there. He's like, these are fucking amateurs. He's like, they've got the total house van pulling up, but
Yeah.
it worked out. But yeah, your broker should be able to like point you in that direction.
Okay. Okay. And did you always kind of build upwards to a sorry, I'm not thinking of the 1031 exchange? Or how did you start? Was that your nest egg?
Yeah.
Or did you just go up and up and up?
Yeah. So for all the single family, we put in a 1031 exchange. The 12 unit, we did not because
Okay.
we have something lined up. So again, it was a win. Now, fortunately, we had so much depreciation banks because without getting like a tax conversation,
Yeah.
depreciation rolls over. So
Yes.
if you have excess depreciation from real estate and
Right.
you can't use it all in one fiscal tax year, it
Yep.
rolls over to the next year. So we had enough bank to where I didn't end up paying capital gains on that, but it
Yeah.
took a large chunk of my depreciation
Yes.
because it still got added towards it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. I
but I
do.
really don't want to do that again. That's back to why sell or refinance. We decided to refinance, even though we were leaving, 4.5% and going to a 7% rate. The
Mhm.
risk of if we didn't find a replacement property, that capital gains recapture would have been,
Right.
astronomical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, it sounds like you did things really smartly. So congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yep. We're looking for them too. Looking for those multifamilies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
That's
would tell you, you learn just by doing. Like, I did not have a grand plan. I did not think I'd be where I am today. You just start. That's what I just said. Action cures anxiety. You learn as you go. And that's where I like doing these things and just hearing stories and just like collaborating together. It's
right.
so powerful. Just real estate's really simple. It's not complicated. I mean, it's four walls and like a thing, it's not
Yeah.
like people talk about like crazy underwriting and it's like it's
Right.
simple. You put all the expenses, utilities, trash. I mean, there's not like something on there and like, what is this? And if you do, you're like, hey, what is this? I
Right.
will tell you the bigger deals get almost easier
Mhm.
because they're not as like convoluted. Like when I
Yeah.
bought that 16 unit, he scribbled things on napkins. I
Right.
kid you not. It was
Literally
like,
napkin underwriting.
yes, yes. And but like, hey, here's the rent, and Susie pays this, and she pays
You're
this,
like,
and I'm on the lease. No, I don't have a scanner. No, I don't have a computer. You're just like, God, those are almost like the hardest.
yeah.
If you
Right.
get to the bigger deals and you buy from like a group or an investor, like yeah, P&L, click, 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 boom.
See it all. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Looks like Kim is my business partner and she has a question. So I'll
Yes,
give
she
her the
does.
floor.
Nina, thank you so much. All right,
Yeah.
Kim, what you got?
You're welcome.
Good to
Thank
see you
you.
today.
Yes, hi. Oh, so happy you're here. What and when will you will cause you to decide to syndicate and not take these down on your own?
Yeah, great question. Great question. Like I said, I'm just being transparent with you guys and being open and honest. I believe disclosure is disarming, right? There's downsides to doing what I do. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what syndication was. I would drive by these massive apartment buildings. I'm like, who the fuck owns that? Like, what gal or guy just owns that by themselves? I'm like, that's cool. How did they get to that? I didn't know what syndication was, right? So I do see it in our future. And I feel like we built enough of a track record now. To me, raising capital is a privilege and it's an honor and it's a big deal. I don't know how else to say it, right? It's a big deal. And I wanted to know I put a significant portion of my own money into this game before I ever asked a dollar for someone else to be like, hey, I've already put all my skin in the game. So we're considering it. We've been approached, and I think we would start with one and see how it goes, and I'll be honest too. I don't make any fees, and that year one is like a break even at best for us because we just pump all that money back into it. So then we use our own personal reserves,
Mhm.
right? And like I said, it's interesting now as we've kind of gotten a little bit bigger. It's a different conversation with these lenders. They're really looking at my because it's what's called a global real estate owned schedule, right? So they now look at everything like, oh, he's got 56 and he's got 100 and he's got a 16. What happens if we hit a massive economic recession? All these rents go down.
Yeah.
Tony Stephan has to chip in. Can Tony Stephan chip in? Versus if it was like Tony and Trevor and Kim, it's like, well, they could all contribute. That makes a little bit more sense. So I also want to share the like anything, there's pros and cons to everything. I also want to share the negative side of it of it is it's all on you. It's a different situation. So I definitely we are opening up more to it, and we're looking at strategically who we would bring in, for it and how
That
we
was
would.
going to be my follow-up question. Like, can you talk so that people on the Zoom can hear what your thought processes and mindset is and questions and literally you're going to be vetting partners, right? We all are going to be vetting partners that we bring in as GPs or KPs or JV partners, So can you speak to the process that you are now going through getting to that next or different level, not next level? And I just want to say, I think it's amazing that you have taken down so much on your own. It just speaks volumes to your integrity and to your fortitude. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Like I said, big part of it was ignorance. I just didn't know there was a way. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, thank you for that. Yeah. So for me, full transparency, I would never do another partner because we know, we know what we're doing and we run the plan and we run the play. We would just do a silent investor, and I would definitely charge fees because, there's a lot of freaking work that goes into putting a deal together. A
Yeah.
lot, especially now with getting the debt, the right debt, right? Like on this 100 unit, y'all, it was crazy. I went through probably 10 different lenders, Life Co's, Freddie Fannie wouldn't touch it because they were just, it's not a distressed property, but their historical occupancy was too low.
Yep.
So I had to call in some big favors because credit unions usually won't touch a deal this size. And I had to, make some magic happen. Again, track record though. I was like, hey, look at my track record. I'm like, you know me, you know my track record. So I'm definitely going to charge fees. It's a big downside of not syndicating. You're not making those fees. Those fees add up significantly. You know what I mean? That's just top line revenue to you. So, all that, and we would manage the deal, we would own and operate the deal, and then we'd start with one, see how we like it, because obviously that's new to us too. Right now I only answer to my wife.
Yeah.
Right? We don't report out to investors. Like her and I have our meetings, we know what's going on. So yeah, it'll be really interesting. But we have committed, like we want to do one, see how it goes, and then take it from there. Back to what I told you guys. You don't need this like master like 10-year plan. Like, dude, do one deal, see how it goes, learn, and then go from there.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. But I think the fees are very important. If you got experience and again, there's more money than deals available. If you know how to source a deal, put a deal together, get debt on the deal, get the right debt on the deal. Like I negotiated, I'll share with you guys. It's a 10-year term, fixed, 7%, 2 years interest only, 25-year AM on this deal that Freddie and Fannie wouldn't touch with a local bank credit union. No deposits required, which is huge. They usually want 10% of the loan deposits. So no deposit requirement. No prepay penalty. So if we want to refi and put it on Freddie Fannie debt in the future, we could do that. So that's work. That is to do that. Like you deserve to be paid for that. And that's what I mean. If you guys know how to do that, that's worth a lot of money because these people are giving their money to Fidelity, they're giving their money to JP Morgan Chase, and they're charging fees up the ass and they're doing this with their money, Oh, it's down, oh, it's up. Well, the market, that's what they say. You know the market. No, I don't know the market. So I don't give you guys my money because I don't trust you. Right. So yeah, that's my thoughts with that. Well, after I do it though, yeah, definitely well, it's gonna be a huge learning curve for sure.
Excellent question, Kim. Thank you so much. We have time for one more before we wrap up with our final announcement. So anybody got another question they want to fire away to Mr. Tony Stephan before we wrap up tonight?
Appreciate you, man. As
I
always.
think and while we're waiting, if anybody wants to, okay, hey, we got a couple, let's see. Okay, let's finish with a couple in the chat here, Tony. So Keith talked about here, can you go into a little more detail about the fees? And then Mahir said, what mastermind are you a part of? So we'll just conclude with those last two.
Yeah, absolutely. So Trevor and I were in Robert Martinez's mastermind. He still does them. Just great guy, just cool guy, down to earth, really, really loving, sharing. He was another guy. He was transparent, man. He lost the deal, but he told us all about it. Everyone will share with you their wins, but if they're going to share their losses, right? That's a true person who will candidly open up. Like I try to do with you guys today. I try to be candid and share. So that's the mastermind we were in. I know, but dude, don't ask me. Trevor's been to like every mastermind. I mean, he's smart. That's what I did. My first business, I went to every event, everything. He's got the Rolodex on that. I've only done Roberts. And then fees, there's an asset management fee, property management fee, acquisition fee, refinance fee. Back to what Trevor said, refinances are hard. It's a lot of work. It's months in the making because you got to prepare all the documents. You got to prepare the NOI. You got to make sure that NOI is squeaky clean, right? You got to do the appraisal, and I'm hands-on. I work with the appraiser. I bring comps to the appraiser. I'm like, no, don't use your comps, use my comps. You know, I'm like, don't worry, I got it for you. Don't worry. I'm like, you know,
Nice.
right? So you got to do all that. Disposition fee, what we're really getting into, because my wife's starting to sell multifamily too for her clients, is man, if we could figure out how do we do a syndication, but then our brokerage sells it too, that's called God, I can't think of the word now because it's my bedtime, Trev. It's like spacing out, right? I can't think of the word. It's like branching out, but like multiple offerings under one roof, right? So like syndication, but then the Stephan Group brokerage sells the property. Oh my God, then we're making commissions on that, right? So yeah, there's a term for it. I just can't think of it right now. But yeah, so it's based on experience. Robert, I remember he shared he didn't charge any fees because that was his first deal ever. I feel we have earned the right to charge fees because not only that, if we're going to bring in investors and not take it all ourselves, like what's the advantage of that versus maybe doing a smaller deal, but just on our own. So, whatever you feel comfortable with. I would feel 100% comfortable justifying why I would charge the fees I would charge. So I think that's important. You got to feel comfortable about it. Because if they ask you what it's for and you're like, well, confidence is the key to everything. People don't know the difference between if you're faking it or not. I'm not saying you should fake it, but if you just act extremely confident, people don't know the difference. So hope that helps.
Very good. Well,
Yeah.
Tony, let's wrap up here, man. So I know you can get to bed, but guys, can we get some fires in the chat? Some
Don't judge me, Trav.
explosions or whatever else. Oh, dude, there's no judgment here, bro.
Don't judge
There's
me,
no
Trav.
judgment here. Just a way to, just show our gratitude and appreciation to Tony. Actually, what we need to do here before we leave, I need to get my camera, make sure I snag a photo of all of us together, Tony, and
Absolutely.
blast it on the social just to show you some love and appreciation for spending some time with the Freedom Chasers tonight. So let me make sure I snag this right here. My brother, 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. Make sure that gets on the social channels. But yeah, thank you, Tony. Next time, we'll have to have the Stephan dynamic duo.
Yes. She's better than me, man.